Final race of the regular season in the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series, the somewhat Southern Chris 250 is what we have on tap for you folks tonight here on the Flat Out Racing Network. Hello, friends. Carlos Zimmerman here once again from my home in Houston, Texas. Alongside of me, Logan Breakey from his home and out west. Logan, I know it's been an up and down day for you, but how are you doing?
We're good. We're good. I'm excited to get this long, eventful race underway here and ready to see these guys wrap up the regular season here at the Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame here this afternoon.
Ought to be a fun one tonight, folks. Really not many points discrepancies coming into tonight's race, as it looks like it's going to be coming down to that final spot to get into the playoffs. Folks, remember, 16 spots are up for grabs tonight. A lot of them already secured by virtue of points or wins. But the battle's going to be for 16th, Logan. Christopher Lawrence holds the spot right now. Chris Newman, who makes an appearance tonight, 5 points behind him. It's going to be a very interesting battle between the two, especially with the absence of Chris Cody Jenkins not making a difference.
Yeah, and I think we discussed this before the race. We're looking at about a 6-spot difference between Lawrence and Newman if Newman were to jump him and get himself into the top 16. And that is with the exception of Newman finishing in the top 5. Or, excuse me, Lawrence finishing in the top 5. So we're looking at about 6 spots, I think, between the two is going to be what makes the difference there to determine the final spot in the chase.
Starting grid rolls down on the bottom of your screen. Chris Tommy Gossett, after his just disappointment last week, bounces back with a pole spot tonight. Christopher Tate, the points leader, and already locked in. He rolls off second. Chris Hubka running in third tonight, 5th in points in that 5 car. And then Chris James makes a return out there in the 29. Chris Roberts rolls off 5th with Christopher Reese in 6th. Chris Jonathan Leach in 7th. And Chris Jones, the admin, in 8th. And then rounding out the top 10, Christopher Papa and Clifford Corvo. That is your top 10. You'll see the rest of the grid scroll around along on your screen. Logan, the trick tonight is don't get a Darlington stripe and just try to keep yourself up front, or am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean that's the gist of it. But I believe DW said it best: is if you come to Darlington and you don't leave this place with a little bit of a mark on the car on the right side of your car, it means you weren't trying hard enough. And I can get behind that to a sense. You want to push the car to the limit here. That's the only way you're going to have any speed. Is you gotta push that limit. You got to be inches away from that wall every single lap. Otherwise, you're not going fast enough, and you will get beat. So while we'll see some guys up on the fence, it might not always be race ending. So we're going to see a lot of action, a lot of contact with that wall, a lot of Darlington stripes, but it should be a very competitive race here this afternoon.
And the green flag will come out. Chris Tommy Gossett and Christopher Tate get us underway. 183 laps of action here tonight from the lady in black. The track too tough to tame, Darlington Raceway, as the 1-2 punch of the 96 and 25 begin their gap from the field.
Yeah, and this is going to be the toughest part of the race, honestly, is the starts and the restarts, because it's so tight with all the cars close together there through 1 and 2. Pretty wide open through 1 and 2. There's a lot of grip there, and then it's pretty heavy lifting and braking into 3 and 4. That's the challenging corner. That's where we're going to see, I think, most of our passes set up to be completed throughout the afternoon.
They're going into 1. Man, Chris Tommy Gossett got really loose when the 25 made the move. Big, bold move out of the points leader. The 25 National Chris Chevy as he jumps to the front. Chris Tommy Gossett now setting under fire here by Chris Hubka and Chris James as they head through 3 and 4.
Yeah, 1 and 2, like I said, is wide open, but it's very slippery. It's very dicey through there. The car is very line sensitive. It forces you to be really steady with your steering inputs and kind of stay on that rubbered line that you kind of see there that was laid down through practice and qualifying. That's the preferred line through there. And if the car gets out of that, it really gets upset. It'll push off the corner. It'll just get really loose throughout the course of the corner.
So with Tate out in front, Gossett settling into second. Chris Roberts, you see him there in the 5th spot, well in control of a playoff spot. Currently 8th in points after his run last week at Atlanta, just in between of a sandwich of Chris Jones and Clifford Corvo for the points. Like we mentioned, folks, the only really battle tonight for points-wise is that 16th spot. Christopher Lawrence at 188 points. And Chris Newman, who returns tonight, he is in 183 points, 5 points, so 6 spots for Newman to be able to make it up on Lawrence if Lawrence does not get a top 5. Right now, they're both running nose to tail. Lawrence in 12th, and Chris Newman a little further behind him, about a full second in 13th.
Had our first victim of the turn 2 wall there a lap ago. Carlos, the 13 of Chris Papa, got into it a little bit. He continues on. It was a little bit of a scrape, but it definitely gave him a little bit of a scare. That's the danger wall here at Darlington, Carlos, because 1 and 2 are such. Well, he got it again off of 4 there. You might have saw a little bit, but 1 and 2 are the faster of the 4 corners. It's wide open, but it's a very unique line through there. You enter the corner low, you get up high next to the wall, and then you cut down hard, really loose off the corner. But you cut down hard exiting turn 2, and if you don't get that exit right of turn 2, if you're a little bit offline, you're going to pound that turn 2 wall, and when you do that, it will destroy your race car. That will end the night here very, very quickly.
Christopher Poppin really nursing an ill-running car right now just because of the way this track is. And folks, it is an egg-shaped oval if you're not familiar with Darlington. Turns 1 and 2 a lot wider than turns 3 and 4 as Papa gets the wall again.
Yep. When it happens once here, it most always happens again throughout the course of the run. Just the more right side damage that car accumulates, the worse that car handles. He's going to get it again in 3 and 4. He is begging for a yellow flag to come out now at this point. I've been in one of those cars when it's just so tight because I've made contact with the wall. It is just the worst thing to drive in the world.
Gonna watch him again here through the corner on the flyby. If he gets the fence again, this time he keeps it off of it. Now about to be under fire by the 01 of Christopher Lawrence. One car has already made his way to the pits. That is the 72 of Chris Edwards. Guy tonight that came into this one 18th in points, 32 points out of a playoff spot. So I believe he would have needed a win to be able to secure the spot.
He actually had a bit of a tangle with Chris Otto going into turn 1. He was on the outside entering 1, and Chris Otto tried making a pass on the inside, and Edwards got up into the fence, down in the Otto, back up in the fence again, and went for a spin. Honestly surprised there wasn't a yellow thrown for that because he was perpendicular to the racetrack and had it was Chris Landy coming right behind him in the 71. But tough break again for Chris Edwards. We've seen that a lot with that 72 machine. I feel like, Carlos, he always gets the rough breaks at the start of races, and it always takes him out of contention early.
It didn't really have a chance to recover, and now he is the first car out in the pits to make it there tonight. 3 laps down now to our leader. Speaking of our leader, Christopher Tate, he is starting to run down Chris Noblet. And Noblet tonight, he came in 4th in points. So he's been having good runs. A couple of those races, a lot of cars fell by the wayside, and that's why he was able to get so much good top 5, top 10 finishes, but he's running 18th right now, an abnormally slow run for the unsponsored 17 of Noblet.
Yeah, Darlington is a track where you either love it or you hate it, and it's the reason being is because it requires such a high amount of concentration and such a unique driving style because it's a totally different track at both ends of the racetrack. You've got nearly wide open turns 1 and 2, really high speed through there. And then you've got a really hard and heavy braking 3 and 4 where you're still running inches from the wall, but it's a much slower corner. So it's a very unique racetrack. And you see a lot of guys who run well throughout the season come here and just really fail to perform. Granted, it is still early, lap 13 of 183 of these circuits. So still time to recover, but you see him here going a lap down or fighting to go a lap down to Christopher Tate.
We had a spin on the back straightaway. Chris Clifford Corvo. Caution did not come out because of it. He has got major rear end damage on that machine. Remember, folks, there is no quick repairs tonight. 75% fuel capacity. Currently getting tires and fuel on that 7 Chris Cola machine, but his chances of contending for a win tonight just went up in smoke.
Yeah, and he also collected Chris Otto as well again in that incident, and it looks like it could be a race ender for Otto as he is without a front end now as well. He hit the back end pretty hard. I'm surprised that maybe there wasn't an admin thrown yellow there because that was a pretty severe incident. A hard lick on the inside for the 7 and a hard lick to the 88, but I guess the census said they prefer to stay green for that, which is totally fine. But Darlington is one of those tracks like Atlanta last week. You've got that massive apron, Carlos. So a lot of times it's when a spin happens here, it clears itself away from the racing surface and down onto that apron, so iRacing doesn't throw the caution for it. So we'll see a lot of incidents tonight that maybe might not warrant a yellow flag being thrown by the service.
We've had a lead change up at the front while looking at these incidents in the back. Chris Tommy Gossett has assumed the race lead, so Tate led for about 13, 14 laps as Chris Clipper Corvo returns to the racing surface. And this was kind of the tale last week at Atlanta. Chris Tommy Gossett dominated a lot of this race, but then a pit road issue where it was also just a technical issue on his internet that caused him to be caught speeding, quote-unquote, on pit road, and effectively ended his chances at a win, effectively handing the win over to Christopher Tate. The yellow
on the
is
racetrack.
out. Looking through here, might be trying to find him. Who it could have been? May have been. Oh, it's the 13 of Christopher Papa.
Gotta say, I did see that coming. You know, he's fighting that race car for quite a while, and he just pounded that inside wall and hit the inside wall hard enough that it threw him back up into the racing surface. So that's why we do see a yellow for that incident on lap 16. Tough night for him. You go back and you look at it, Carlos, and it all comes down to just one corner. It ended his race, and it was just a snowball effect from there.
See him here running by himself. No one really around him. Here he's going through the wider turns 1 and 2, and you're going to watch him come off the corner here. He's going to smack the wall hard and then just spin down the racing surface. That angle didn't really give it to you, so we'll go back and look at it again. Man, just a tough break for a guy who, he wasn't really in contention for any sort of chance at the playoffs tonight, but just a tough break regardless.
Yeah, you never like to have your race end early, no matter what you're competing for. It's just it's always a kick in the teeth. But long race, so he might get back out there and ride around a little bit, see if he can collect some points. But definitely out of a contention for a W here tonight.
He's very lucky, though, that he didn't catch that little indent of the old pit road. Because remember, folks, Darlington used to have pits on both sides of the racetrack, one on the front and one on the back. Much like Bristol Motor Speedway. And he's lucky he didn't catch that little indent because that could have torn his car up a heck of a lot more.
Well, it used to be that the old front stretch is the back stretch, Carlos. The ends of the speedway were swapped. So what is now 3 and 4 used to be turns 1 and 2, and what is now 1 and 2 used to be turns 3 and 4. So this used to be way back when the track used to be a little flipped around. I'm not sure what the issue was, why they decided to change it, but definitely a little unique fun fact. And another fun fact I learned from our colleague Seth Cole is the reason why it got its egg shape. Would you like to hear that, Carlos?
Go for it. We're under caution right now. Looks like Chris Newman pulled some pit strategy in the pits. We'll get to that in a second.
Well, I'm not sure if it was a farm or what, but outside of turn 3 and 4, there's a piece of land that was owned by, again, I'm not sure whom it was owned by, but they requested that the track not be built through that land. So, to avoid building through that land and complete the racetrack, they kind of drew the backstretch at an angle and led to the creation of the super tight 3 and 4. That is why turns 3 and 4 is so much tighter than 1 and 2. Had it not been for that piece of property, this track would be the same on both ends of the speedway, and it would just be another boring race. But alas, we've got an exciting Darlington Speedway thanks to that little tidbit of information. The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know, honestly. That's honestly why a lot of tracks are the way they are. Just some unique features about them that make it so racy. But then you look at other tracks that were pretty much copies of each other. I mean, I'm certain whenever Atlanta got reconfigured, and that was the idea for Texas, and then you got other tracks like Auto Club in Michigan. Then again, Auto Club does treat like a super speedway compared to Michigan. So that's right. The difference between the two. And then, Kansas, I believe that's a 2-mile oval, right?
1.5 mile and a half.
Oh, it's just another mile and a half. So, yeah. So that's it. But it's also got that oval look that tracks like, or just it's one of those mile and a halves that's kind of different from the other mile and a halves is Kansas, but we're at Darlington tonight. 1.3 mile oval. Egg-shaped oval, I should say. But to the task at hand, pace car lights are still out, so we're going to go around another time. Chris Newman, I believe, took either a fuel-only stop or a two-tire stop.
Yeah, definitely some sort of strategy call made there. Going back to take a look to see what he did. It looks like it was fuel only. So they are not running with tire sets. I don't believe there are any tire limits for this race. Doesn't appear that there is. So just a bold call here for Newman. And I mean, all the power to him. He's in a position, he's got himself in a position where he has to make these kind of strategy calls, get himself that track position, and all the power to him. I like the call. It's early in the race, and if it doesn't pay out, he learns his lesson and doesn't do it again. So good for him. We'll see if this plays out.
Guy he's trying to beat, Christopher Lawrence, is outside the top 5. So with that move, that would put him in a spot. Folks, I do want to stress this as well. Chris Cody Jenkins is the guy that's currently in that is in the 15th spot in points. He did not show up tonight. He's 11 points ahead of Lawrence and then 16 points ahead of Newman. I believe since he did not show up, it could get both Newman and Lawrence in, pending on where they finish. If they get solid top 10s, they're both in. If they finish outside the top 10, they may not make it.
Yeah, and that's obviously the whole wild card in this situation is, like you said, Jenkins not being here this afternoon. So if we see 2 top 5 runs from Newman and Lawrence, that whole 6th position gap could be thrown out the window and both those guys can get in. So maybe, at the start of this thing, maybe that's what they're thinking. Like, let's not race each other too hard. Let's see if we can help each other out, get ourselves in the top 5, and we both get in here with this good finish.
And to my knowledge, Newman did take the green flag at Daytona. Lawrence did not. So the fact that Lawrence has been able to, just with the races he's been in, and be able to work his way up into the top 16 in points is impressive in and of itself. Newman's missed the last few races. Lawrence has been here. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. Top 5, Chris Newman, Christopher Tate, Chris James, Chris Tommy Gossett, and Christopher Reese as we get back green on lap 23 of 183, giving us 161 laps to go here tonight at the Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. Newman on the gas may have spun the tires a little bit there, and that's why Tate got much better jump. They'll be side by side as they head towards 1.
Yeah, you saw the 29 all over the back bumper there. That's Chris James trying to give him a little shot to get going. He's hanging strong with the 25 right now, but too wide off of turn 2. Oh, he's Harry. There goes Tate. He's into the wall, and 90 is going to go up and kiss the wall as well, and it's Tommy Gossett and Chris James that get by unscathed. And an unfortunate scenario there for the 25 of Christopher Tate.
My goodness, that got really dicey there as they went towards the back straightaway. Wow. And now that has relegated the Tate machine back to 4th. That's handed one, as you mentioned, the 96 and the 29. They move up to 1-2, and then Newman settles into the 3rd position. Speaking of the 96 and 29, the 29 all over the back bumper of the 96.
Yeah, and the story is the same for the 25 versus the 90. I don't think he was too pleased with that. There probably would have expected a little bit of leeway considering it was old versus new on tires there. The 90 pulls down to the side to give the 25 the line, and he's going to lose the spot to the 01 and the 09 too by the looks of things. Might just concede all these spots here to avoid ending his day early, and a good move at that, I think.
Lead change at the front. The 29 now jumps in front of the 96. Chris James has not quite been around as of late, and he returns tonight. And now he's going to be able to come around here and lead himself a lap there in that Chris Weiser. Chevy Camaro.
Good breakaway that those two have gotten as well over the 25. We know how strong he's been throughout the rest of the season. The 25 has been, so the bigger gap he can build to that machine, the better. And those two have done just that. Top 3 really kind of pulled away. And it is a dogfight behind them for the top from 4th on back to about 12th, honestly. That's a lot of cars you can just throw right underneath a Darlington blanket.
4th all the way back to, as you said, about 11th place. Then you find Chris T. Jones at the tail end of this one. Do want to point out, folks, we have a couple people making their debuts tonight here as Christopher Papa's back on the racing surface. Chris Alonzo King in the 80 car tonight, his Chevy Camaro, running 7th right now in his debut tonight, unless he's made another appearance that I wasn't broadcasting. This is my first time seeing him. Another driver also potentially making his debut, the 43 of Chris Summers, back here in the U.S. Chris Force number 43, as he is trying to currently pass Chris Newman, who restarted as the leader and has cascaded all the way back to 14.
I'm just keeping an eye. Oh, the 0-1 into the fence off of 2. He's going to spin into the pack. A big wreck on the back straightaway. The 62, the 0-1, the 98. There was other cars that made contact through there. I think the 33 got a piece of it. Chris Hubka and the 5 got a little bit as well. The 80, who we just talked about, was in it.
A lot of big-time damage on the front end of the 80 of Chris Alonso King. And then, as you said, Christopher Lawrence, a guy who is on that brink of making the postseason, and he has got a little bit of damage. Doesn't look like he has a whole lot to the naked eye. We're under our second caution of the night.
Yeah, Chris Lawrence was a guy that initially spun. He got that turn 2 wall pretty hard, and once he hit that, he bounced down into the 09, I believe it was. And then the rest of the field just stacked up behind there. It's one of those corners, Carlos, where you're trying to carry so much speed off of turn 2. So when something happens in front of you, you're wide open and you've been wide open from about the center of the corner off. And so when something happens in front of you, it is so hard to get that car slowed down, and it's so easy to just pile into stuff that happens in front of you.
You saw it there on your screen. The 01 just caught the fence. Luckily didn't collect the 48. Yeah, for his sake. But then, yeah, it came down into traffic, caught the 80. And that's why he had his damage. And then, of course, collecting the 98, 33 got a piece of it. Chris Hubka, as you said, he got a piece of it. Not too much damage. So really only 3 cars that really took a hit in this one, being the 01, the 80, and then the 62 of Christopher Reese. And that's why we're under our second caution of the evening here. We'll actually go back and we'll give you a replay as to what was seen out the view of Chris Hubka.
Yeah, and you saw just a lot of those guys, when I went back and looked on board, a lot of those guys just couldn't see what was happening in front of them. They saw the spark from the wall contact, but they didn't see that there was a car sideways in the track, and they kind of just ran over each other trying to get woed up for it. Just we see big mishaps like that happen all the time here at Darlington because it's such a narrow racing surface, and B, it's just such a fast end of the speedway over there off of 2.
Unfortunate break for a lot of machines here tonight. This is another interesting move. That caution, that was maybe about a 9-lap run under the green flag. And that has moved the league admin, Chris Jones, in his Ford. Or actually, I believe that might be, no, that's the Ford. And he is stayed out, despite getting maybe a tiny chunk of it. And he is the race leader right now.
Yeah, he as you said, he was in that last caution, so could just be. I don't know. Darlington is weird because it's one of those places like I said, the new tires are so sketchy through 1 and 2, and even through 3 and 4. The back end tends to step out on you. So maybe these guys are thinking that scrub tires, old tires, are maybe a little more comfortable here, especially since we've got short runs going on. But we see Chris Jones diving down in the pit road now. Nobody to follow. He's going to be the only taker this time by. He's going to concede the lead. The 7's coming in, but looks like it's just for more repairs. He's still off the lead lap.
Chris Robert's still sitting in the pits. Might lose a lap here to the new leader, Chris James. Actually, no, he's coming back out on the racetrack, so he'll be able to hold on to his lead lap. That'll give us 16 cars. When we get back to green flag, Chris Clifford Corvo 3 laps down, Chris Papa 10 laps down due to their damages, Chris Papa being our first caution tonight. Chris Edwards, he has taken his car behind the wall, and his hopes of making the playoffs are now dashed because of that, finishing it out in 19.
So if you're Chris Lawrence or Chris Newman here, Carlos, you sit back and you take a look at this race. You say, okay, we're 2 cautions in. We've got a lot of damaged race cars, a lot of guys that are not going to be in anywhere close to contention for anything happening on the lead lap. Maybe I just play it safe for a little bit. Let these guys beat themselves up. Let them let them wreck, let them junk their stuff up, and then I'll just pick off the spots as these guys, fall back to me. This is a long race. We're 32 laps into this thing. We've still got 150 some odd laps to go here. So I think at this point, if you're a guy that's trying to hang on to your spot in the postseason chase or trying to sneak in, like Newman and like Lawrence, you play this really safe and you let everybody else take each other out of this race and hand you positions.
Yeah, that's really what their mindset needs to be. It doesn't appear that's been their thing so far. I believe Lawrence was just trying to get too much too early under that that's why he was caught on the outside of Chris Leach, and that's why it started off that 3-4 car incident.
Yeah, and I think that being said, it'll be a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, okay, I got away with one there. I got minimal damage from that. I should have had a lot more. I'm gonna take this chance with stride, and I'm gonna just play it safe because he's in the control spot right now in comparison to Newman. If these two do not finish well enough to jump over Cody Jenkins, who is not here this afternoon, we talked about that earlier. If they don't finish well enough to jump him and knock him out of the top 16, Chris Lawrence is in the control spot in comparison to Chris Newman. All he's got to do is keep him in his sights, and the top 16 spot is his.
Of course, again, folks, we're going to wait and pending on seeing what's going to happen with the absence of Cody Jenkins. As they are really already getting on the jump on this green flag. Chris James says, hey, let's go.
Holy smokes, that was extremely early. I've never seen anything that early before in my life. That was it's legal by iRacing, so it's legal by the lead, but they're wrecking over in turn one. It was the 25 who was sideways, Christopher Tate. They gathered it up. Tate got in the hubcap, but I'm still staggered by that restart. He wanted none of that action and just took off to the sunset.
Wow. Yeah, I'm with you. I've not seen that. And we've been covering Chris Cup since the start of the season. Haven't seen that one bit. Yeah, again, it is legal by iRacing standards. So that's why he's jumped out to a 0.6 of a second lead. It's a 4-car breakaway. 29, and then you got the 96 of Chris Gossett, then Chris Leach in the 48, and then the 09 of Christopher Williams.
So the thing you've got to worry about when you go that early, see, he is being black flagged by the system for passing the pace car. That's an issue you run into, I know for a fact, at Michigan, Carlos. People who like to go on the pace car, as we call it, when the pace car dives off, will go on the pace car at Michigan, but they will get black flagged because it has not entered pit road yet, and they've passed it before it has. That doesn't seem to be the case here, as they're still all out on track and nobody's come in to serve a black flag.
I think that's happening is because the pace car may have already crossed the commitment line in the pits and was no longer on the racing surface, thus handing race control over to the 29, and I think that's why admins are seeing that, and iRacing saw that, so that's why the 29 is not being black flagged.
Yeah, and I think it's by iRacing standards, is once the pace car passes that commitment cone that you see here, got a caution on the racetrack, but I think that commitment cone is the buffer for iRacing. And this is ultimately what Chris James is trying to avoid, spread the field out so that they can get some green flag runs in, but that's obviously not going to be the scenario, as it's Chris Sommers this time who is the victim of an incident there. Again, off of turn 2, Chris Robert is involved again as well.
Looks to be just a 2-car incident, the two that Logan just mentioned, the 98 of Chris Robert's and the 43 making his debut tonight in Chris Sommers. So we'll go ahead and already check back and see what happened. We got to him. It was on the back.
Chris Robert hit hard, man.
See him here coming through 1 and 2. Sommers all over the racing surface. You see him come off the corner here. Robert gets loose, and man, the 43. Oh yeah, what a vicious hit for the Chrissy D 98.
It's again, I mean, it's the 98 makes a bold move there in the corner to pass on the outside, which is not. That's not a stupid move. That's the faster line at Darlington. So if the outside is there, you want to take a shot at taking it. But you see, he gets the wall, but Carlos, he doesn't hit the turn 2 wall that hard. It's the second bit of contact with the wall once the safer barrier goes away that seems to send him down into the 43. The initial contact with the wall seems more like a brush, but for whatever reason, he hit the wall harder a second time, and that's what shot him down into the 43.
So really, the 43 of Chris Summers was kind of an innocent bystander in that. Had the 98 just spun out before that, and 43 probably wouldn't have been collected. And that's why we're working our third caution of the night, just past the 1/5 mark of the race as we hit lap 40 this time by. 2-car incident for the 43 and 98. Both of them look like they will trudge on.
And this is, again, this goes back to what I was discussing too with our two guys that we're watching here tonight, Lawrence and Newman. Just settle down, ride around, and let these guys take each other out, because that's essentially what's happening here. We've still got 16 cars on the lead lap, but a lot of those cars aren't damaged and without front or back ends. So still plenty of time left in this race for something to go wrong for one of those two. So just bide your time and let these guys sort it out. But the flip side of that many people will argue is, okay, but yeah, if I do that, if I play it safe, then I run the risk of the race going green and I get myself caught a lap down. You've got to manage that cautious driving with still maintaining speed. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Don't make any unnecessary moves. Just wait it out. Let the guy in front of you make mistakes. They've got to find that balance between cautious driving and still maintaining speed so that they don't get themselves into a tough situation.
So that caution coming out, our third of the night. Chris James still maintains the lead. Christopher Williams now slots into the second spot. Chris Jones up to third. Chris Tommy Gossett will roll off fourth. And then how about Chris Otto? He's gotten into a little bit of trouble tonight. Not as much trouble compared to others, but he is sitting good right now up in the top 5, but it looks like he'll surrender that spot to Christopher Reese as he's coming to the pits.
Yeah, he's got some engine damage underneath that machine there, Carlos, and looks like he was just coming out to cycle back up in line, and he's going to dive down again to repair more of that car. Not seeing there's already very few cars left in this race that are clean. We're looking at maybe our race leaders that really haven't been involved in any sort of action, but it's a long race, man. Just settle in and ride this thing out and make it to the distance here. And I think that's what we saw the 29 try to do. He went early to try and get that field stretched out to the point where they could get a green flag run going, and didn't work that time. So we'll see if he does it again here.
The 98 and the 43 still getting service in the pits, trying to get their cars repaired. The 33 also pit under that run there, so he's down there. 88's returned to the racing surface, so it's just really two cars still sitting in the pits, being the 98 of Roberge and the 43 of Summers. Again, folks, Summers making his debut tonight. Roberge, he's already well in points. He's 8th, so he's sitting pretty right now. And this will only hurt him in terms of seeding when it comes time to it, but when I'm looking at it here, it looks like if he finishes where he's at right now, he's only going to lose spots to probably the 7 of Corvo, and then maybe the 62 of Reese if Reese gets a top 5. So the worst he can finish tonight in points is 10th. So that, at the end of the day, that's not a horrible loss.
And I think that too is another reason why we can look at why these guys are being so aggressive, is because they're mostly everybody in this field is good. They've got their spot secured, whether it be for the postseason or they know they don't have a shot at making it to the postseason contention, rather. They'll still race, but they won't race for anything but a win. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these guys just be so aggressive early on, is because they really don't have anything to lose. So they're going out there for everything they can get, and if they wreck, they wreck. So could be a reason why we're seeing so much aggression here early on.
Top 10 when we go back green. Chris James in first, Christopher Williams second, Chris Gossett third, Christopher Reese in fourth, Chris Hubka will be fifth. Rest of the top 10, Chris Alonzo King, Chris Tate, Christopher Lawrence, Chris Jones, and Chris Otto will be your top 10 when we get back green. 13 cars on the lead lap. The 71, the only car 1 lap down, so another caution would get him back on the lead lap, as the 98 and the 43 still sit in the pits. Another jump start here for the 29. Oh boy, the 98 passed before the line. The 96, passed before the line. I don't know if that's going to be a black flag for him, but he is slotted now into the second position ahead of the 09.
Yeah, see, and again, this will tick drivers off for sure because of that reason, Carlos. You saw, as you said, you pointed out the 96 passed the 09 before the start finish line, but he's got to go. He's got to stay with that 29 because if he doesn't, there's no way. Well, there is a way he can catch him, but it's going to be a while before he does. So I can imagine guys will be barking at that 29 like, man, just chill out. Do not go so early because it screws the rest of us. And we'll wait and see if black flags get cleared or if the 96 does have to come down and serve that. I don't know if he even did get black flagged, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you'd be the one to be looking at it on as you're able to see it on your screen. I'm not able to see it here as the 29 still starting to roll away from the field. Only about a 0.4 of a second gap. Whoa, the 80 got a little loose there off the corner, and he's going to surrender the 5th spot to the 25 of Christopher Tate. Good rebound for the 25, who's had some trouble tonight. Still has a little bit of rear end damage, but doesn't look like it's hurting him too much aerodynamically, and so he's able to keep himself up here. So it's about an 8-car spread until you get about a second and a half back to the 9th place car in Chris Otto, and I just saw the 01 lose a lot of spots there. I wasn't sure if he had hit the wall or something like that.
Not seeing any sort of black flag indication for the 96. He hasn't had any cleared, nor does it look like he's received any, so no harm, no foul there from the looks of things. But it's still one of those situations where, as a driver, you'd really prefer that he waits until we get a little closer to that start-finish line, because that's 2 corners and a half a straightaway that he's taken off before we even come down to receive the green flag. So that's quite a big jump that the 29 is getting, and all the power to him. It's within the rules of iRacing, and it appears to be within the rules of the league. So all the power to him to continue doing it. Just speaking from a driver's standpoint here.
Chris Summers has returned to the racing surface, 8 laps down in the 16th position. He's just out there to probably try and log laps, maybe pick up some spots if cars start falling by the wayside. Chris Robert still in the pits. With that big hit, I think that effectively takes him out of the race, and that's where he'll finish tonight. Actually, no, he may finish 18th with Papa still out there. Again, folks, that's only going to really drop him down to 10th, so it's not a major loss for him. Battle heating up for second.
Yeah, Tate's slowly reeled in that 96 there. I think maybe, I obviously don't want to jump to any conclusions, but maybe a little bit of the red mist there from the 96 with that 29 taking off so early. The 96 going to pull over, though, and let Tate go handle that 29 machine. Tate's just fast no matter what car he gets in, what track he goes to. So I think the drivers are aware of that this season. He's got 5 wins on the season for a reason. So 96 of Goss, it's like, you know what, you go handle that. I'll wait here until you get Valium, and then I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, it's really now reeling him in. The gap now 5/10 between the 29 and the 25. The National Chris 25, like you said, has gone to victory lane 5 times this season. The 5th one coming last week at Atlanta. A 6th win, I'm sure that would sound really nice for him, and that would net him some more points entering the playoffs, as we are now on lap 50 of 183. We have 134 still to go tonight, folks. If you're just joining us on Flat Out Racing Network on YouTube and Facebook, I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside of me, Logan Brakey, bringing you the final race of the regular season of the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series as we get set for the 5-race playoff and the chase for the Chris Cup. The 29 of Chris James out in front right now, Christopher Tate in second, and Chris Tommy Gossett in third.
3-car breakaway there from the rest of the field, so these 3 look to be the fastest cars on the racetrack early on. It's the 09 of Christopher Williams there, and that Tony Stewart throwback. That's the Chris Depot here, but we recognize that as the Home Depot scheme. Probably one of my favorite Tony Stewart paint schemes there, the classic orange and white look there. Was sad to see that design go away when Joey Logano took over the ride back in 2010, I think it was. Whoa, the 62 into the wall off of 2. Big slide there, a nice save for him. Bit of a moment there for Christopher Reese.
He hangs on to it. He loses all that ground he had with that little bit of train of cars from 4th on to 8th. As the 96 is now battling the 25 once again and takes the 2nd spot away. Will the 25 try a crossover? Doesn't appear he will. Ooh, went a little high there. Was afraid he's going to get the wall here off the corner. He doesn't.
That was a power move into one. You don't see a lot of passes made going into one just because of the way the car naturally washes up the racetrack towards the wall. So that was a very aggressive move from that 96. But they've both closed in on that 29.
Yeah, they're really now running up on him. Looks like Chris James may have a bit of a short-run machine. I don't know if that's going to be the case. We'll see if they get by him, and we'll see how his car acts going forward. They go around as Chris Roberge. He's returned to the racetrack, so he will continue his race tonight. Battle for the lead. Here comes the 96 of Chris Tommy Gossett. He blows right by the 29. 29 and the 25. They'll be side by side for second. New leader, the 96 of Gossett. Wow.
Undercut there off of 4. That's the spot to do it, though. That's usually where you're going to see a lot of passes made in 3 and 4, just because it's such a slower corner, and it's heavy on the brakes getting into that corner. So that was a move well made from the 96. And the 25 goes by as well. And we'll see if the 25 can reel in our race leader.
As they start to run up on lap traffic, we'll head to our first commercial break of the night. Lap 56 about to go on the board. Chris Tommy Gossett looking for redemption from last week. He's out in front and is your leader as we head to this message from Shorba's Racing Graphics. Lap 59 up next on the ticker. That would give us 125 laps to go here this evening. Carlos Zimmerman, Logan Brakey bringing you the action here tonight in the Chris Cup Series from Darlington Raceway. Chris Tommy Gossett, he is your leader and has opened up a now 0.6 of a second lead over second place Christopher Tate. Chris James, has really fallen off from having the lead at the onset of the caution or the restart, and he has fallen all the way back into third and now about 3 seconds ahead of fourth place. That is Chris Hubka. And then making his debut tonight, Chris Alonzo King, maintaining a top 5 right now up there in the 80 car in the 5th spot. And then, oh my goodness, Logan, there's a big gaggle of cars back here from about 6 back to 11th.
Yeah, I was paying attention to this because if something was going to happen here on the track, it's going to be here. This is a good fight here for position back here. All these guys running of equal performance, it seems, starting with the 62. Got a battle for, I believe that's 7th. Another power move down into turn 1. That was the the 90 of Chris Newman. Going by the 09 of Chris Williams. And now Christopher Reese in the clutches of the 90. He's going to take it on the outside, going into 3. That's aggressive.
90 got a little bit of 90 got the chunk of the wall there.
Yeah, he got a good run off of 2, but look at this run he's going to get on the inside off of 4. That's how you do a pass at Darlington. It's not done yet, but he's going to have the advantage going in the 1. There he goes, 62 lifts. And the 90 gets it done. That's how you make a pass at Darlington right there, folks.
And as of right now, he is 7 spots ahead of Lawrence and not in the top 5. So in this scenario, he would be in and would be to the good, I believe, by 1 point over Christopher Lawrence.
Yeah, and that I think that's what he's realizing now. He's got the 80 of Chris King there and ahead of him.
Wow.
Seems to be a little bit faster now. So he's on a bit of a charge. Is Chris Newman.
He is currently the fastest car on the racetrack, the only car besides Chris Noblet that ran a sub-30 lap time. He is then the leader just ran a 29 that time by, so that a little bit different. But he, at that point, was the fastest car on the racetrack. These matching times of Christopher Tate and Chris Gossett. So, 90's on a mission. He's starting to reel in the 80 of Chris Alonzo King. It's before long, he'll be inside the top 5 in that Chris Ford Mustang.
I got to think that we saw him take make the no tire call at the beginning of the race. Maybe a little bit of experimentation going on there, kind of see what the difference was on old versus new tires. He's got that now. He's stored it in the memory bank, and now he's taking advantage of the information that he knows, and he's playing to his advantage. I think once we see him get into the top 5, we'll see him settle in and kind of ride, take care of his tires, make it last the run, because he's in position A right now. Scored 6th. Currently 6th on the racetrack, and then Chris Lawrence, who was the competitor, he is racing for that top 16 spot in 13th, 1 lap down. So that is the gap of 6. He's got the gap of 7 spots right now that we were talking about. So he's good as they run, Carlos.
Now that we've gotten to a bit of a green flag run here, I believe we're about, roughly 20 laps into this run. 75% fuel tank in there. A lot of these guys have made 3 stops tonight. A few have made 4. The only one to make 2 stops tonight are Chris James and Christopher Williams. With that 75% fuel capacity, what is the window for green flag pit stops?
It's always a good question. I'm thinking again it'd be around 45 to 50. That could be way out of the ballpark. I'll take that back immediately. Actually, I'll say maybe around 35 to 40 is what we're looking at for that fuel window. Especially because as the run goes on, the tires fall off almost immediately. They're fine for 5-6 laps, and then it's like the 7th lap, you just hit that cliff and the tires go away. So once those tires are done, your speed really starts to back up. You start to drive 1 and 2 a lot more cautiously. You lift a lot through 1 and 2, and you're much more patient through 3 and 4. It's a much slower corner on older tires. So with that being said, I think that stretches out the fuel window just a little bit. So I think we're looking at maybe around 35 to 40 laps.
If that's the case, we should see green flag pit stops within the next 10 to 15 laps around the lap 80 point as battling continues further back. I think Reese just got the wall off the corner, and that's going to allow Chris Otto to move to his inside and make the pass here into 1. Ooh, man, Reese nearly got the wall again, and that's going to allow the little Chris car of Chris Jones to move up into the 10th spot. So Reese is falling all the way back to 11th, and these guys are currently right there. It's a full straightaway between them and the race leader, the 96 of Chris Gossett. Looking through here, trying to find some other battles. Chris Newman, he was starting to run down the 80 of Chris Alonso King. That has kind of stifled out as the gap was as small as a half a second. And now the gap almost expanded back to a full second. So it looks like Chris Newman has used up his stuff.
Yeah, he's hit that cliff I was just talking about there, where your tires are good, and then bam, it just hits you, and there's nothing left in them. It's actually quite a scary feeling, because you go into turn 1 with the same speed you've been going in the whole run, and the car just plows. It just goes straight up to the wall, and you're like, holy crap, this is just not turning. So it kind of sneaks up on you. It comes out of nowhere, but just back up the corners a little bit, be a little more generous with throttle application, and start saving those tires a bit more, and he'll be all good. Oh, he gets the wall. He gets the wall just a little bit there in 1 and 2. That'll tighten up the car a little bit even more now. So this is the point in the race or in the run rather, where you really don't want to get that wall, because it's just going to make it. It's going to make it so much tighter than it already is with the tire fall off. But that being said, the race speed in general kind of slows down. So I guess it's better to be super tight now than it is at the very beginning of a run.
Yeah, no, the guy who has had the best lap, the actual fastest car on the racetrack, is the guy that's currently running 18th. That's Chris Robert. He's got fresh tires. That's why. He's 25 laps down. The only other car running sub 20, running 29-second lap times, that's the leader in Chris Tommy Gossett. So, yeah, the tire fall off is really starting to hit a lot of camps here. No one has made the ducks to pit road, so still under this green flag run. Pit stops are looming, and that's going to give us an opportunity now to look forward to the final 5 races of the season. the 5 playoffs races, folks, if you are just joining us for the first time. It's the starting letter of each of the tracks spells out Chris. And it's a little funky, but you'll get it. Chicagoland is next week. And then after that, it's Homestead. And then the R, Richmond. And then the I, Indianapolis. And then, I think we've had a wreck here in the back straightaway. We'll get back to that in a second. Caution is out. Chris Summers. And the 33 of Chris Jones.
Oh, no.
And Chris Summers' car is smoking. He's towards the pit.
Pouring from that machine, yeah.
And still pouring out of it as he's here in the pits, and that's a sign that his night's going to come to an end.
Turn 2 wall strikes again. Oh, that's a hard hit for both those guys. The 33, though, he was running well. Chris Tate had to make quite an abrasive action to get through that there, being so far back from the wreck. But dang, the 33 just smoked that inside wall.
You'll see it here as they come off the corner, 43 and 33, simultaneously hitting that wall at the same time. And yeah, all these guys just taking evasive action to get around it. This is right in front of our leaders. And that's going to spell the end of the night for Chris Summers, and it might spell the end of the night for Chris Jones. The lucky thing for Jones, he was 7th in points, so he'll just lose some more spots in points if this is the end of his night. This really could play into the hands of Chris Clifford Corvo, who's just trying to log laps at this point, and he might be able to find himself 7th in points by the end of this. But folks, that's why we're under our 4th caution of the night, and we're going to take a look here as officially Chris Summers has taken his car behind the wall. We'll take a look at an onboard here with the 96, our race leader at the time, as to why or what he saw out his window.
Carlos, I think of Darlington as one of my better tracks on the service, and the reason why that is the case is because it's a track that requires so much patience. And I think that wreck there was an example of why that patience is required. You ride on board, or you look at the 33 of Chris Jones. The 43 is a lap down. He was going to let him go, right? He's lifting. He's giving him the inside line, but it's off a turn 2, a corner that narrows up immensely whenever you come off the corner. In that scenario, it's obviously it's much better to say, hey, get through the corner, then pull down to the side, lift on the straightaway, and I'll go by you on the straightaway, instead of us risking our races by trying to make this happen off of turn 2. And I think that's is a situation where a little bit of patience can go a long way, because has Chris just waited, and I'm not saying this is Chris's fault at all, I'm just saying if a little bit of patience was applied there, he could have got the pass done on the straightaway, and Chris's race would still be I keep saying Chris. There's a lot of Chris's in this field. Chris Jones's race would still be one that's unharmed, and he'd still be out there riding around right now.
And that's the thing with the whole patience, as he's still out on the racetrack and trying to limp it home at this point. A lot of front-end damage. Remember, folks, no quick repairs, so these guys are going to be having trouble all night long. This is a guy that was running on the edge of the top 10 at the time of the incident, because Chris Summers was a lap car.
Right. And so, and that's where I go back to it again, is that's he doesn't need to make that pass, especially that late into the run. You get through the corner, because it's the most treacherous corner on the racetrack right now. You get through that corner, just single file, and then you key up and you ask to be let by on the straightaway. He was 12 laps off the lead lap, so there shouldn't be any resistance when being asked, hey, can I just get by here on the straightaway? So just a little bit of patience goes a long way at Darlington for reasons like that, because and again, if the 43 doesn't get the wall, they're both fine, but because the track narrows up so much off of 2, the odds of him not getting into the wall are pretty slim.
That's the thing about this track. It will eat you alive. It has eaten people alive, really. They call it the track too tough to tame for a reason. And, it's eaten alive real Cup competitors, Xfinity trucks, for all the years that they've been running at this track. Cup dating all the way back to 1950. At the time, it was the Busch Grand National Series. Back in the 70s, they were running here. And then trucks came here, I think, from the beginning of their inception back in 1995. So it's been really eating drivers, virtual and real ones alike. So it's a tough one to race. I'm glad I'm not one of these racers. I'm glad I just do the broadcasting, because I do not want to be in their mind right now trying to figure out, all right, how do I prevent this car from sucking up into the wall in both ends of the racetrack every lap?
Oh, see that's why I love this place so much. It's my favorite track on the schedule. It's for whatever reason, I'm not a very talented racer. I haven't won a lot of races. I'm decent, but I have not won a lot of races. So you wouldn't think that a track as tough as Darlington is my favorite, but for some reason, this place, it just suits me, and I have so much fun coming here, and I'm sure it's the case for a lot of these drivers out here tonight. They love coming here, and they run well here. Excuse me. And it's one of their favorite places on the schedule. So I think it's because it's such a challenge, and it feels so good to run well here that it's a favorite among many.
Pace car lights are out. We'll go back green at lap 80 of 183. We are closing in on 100 laps to go here this evening. Race recap, 4 cautions, as we're working the 4th one right now. 2 cars out of the race, the 72 of Chris Edwards and the 43 of Chris Summers. Their nights are over. Summers will officially finish 18th if Robert makes it up in about 9 laps. And then Chris Edwards, he's been out of the race for quite a while. Chris Jones still trying to get service in the pits, trying to get repaired damage. So we'll see if he's able to come back out and just log some laps. Top 5, Chris Tate, Chris Tommy Gostick, Chris James, Christopher Williams, Chris and Chris Leach round out your top 5. Look at this difference here. Chris Tate waiting till they get to the restart zone.
There we go.
And then decides to take off right there at the green flag. So the 25 gets away, and see, you you look at that.
You still get a good jump.
Yeah, you got a really good jump. And then sure, the gap's not like almost a full second, but he still got away pretty well. So, but the 29 showing some good, again, I think he's got a really good early run.
Short run speed, yeah, absolutely. And that's that trap you got to be careful you don't fall into here at Darlington, because it feels so good to be so fast here on the short runs, and that's when you pressure yourself into making up the spots here early in the run, because track position is so important, and this is when the car is honestly handling the best to do so. But you've got to make sure you save the tires so you have that speed in the long run, because it's so hard to be fast in the long run. It's more about just letting guys come back to you rather than catching guys. So you see him backing off now a little bit. I don't know if that's just because Tate is flat out faster, or if the 29 learned his lesson and is going to start backing off and saving those tires for the long run.
The 09 was trying to make a challenge with the 96 there through 1 and 2, but really had to back out of the gas. Might fall into the clutches of the 48 here, and we're just getting word the 33 of Chris Jones has taken his car behind the wall. His night will come to an end. He'll likely finish out in the 17th position at the end of this thing. Again, folks, he is set to go for the playoffs, so he didn't really have much to worry about going in tonight, well in control of his position.
Want to go back to our battle of the night, meaning the battle for top 16 clinch between the 01 of Chris Lawrence and the 90 of Chris Newman. There's now just one spot separating the two. Chris Lawrence back on the lead lap, currently scored in 11th. Seems to have fixed most of what damage he had. Newman, as I said, just 2 spots ahead of him in 9th. So as they run right now, it would still be Lawrence getting into the postseason playoffs, and sorry, might have had that backwards. It would be, Lawrence getting into the postseason and Newman not being able to make it in as they run. So we'll see how that plays out later on into the race.
And with 9 spots behind him, he needed to make up 14 or 15 spots on Chris Cody Jenkins. Jenkins did not show up. So I don't know how many points it is. I'm trying to find that breakdown of points. The worst you could finish, the worst that the 90 could finish tonight, where we run right now, would be 16. So 16th place nets out 19 points. He is 14 behind Chris Cody Jenkins. So where he's running right now, he could make it in. He just needs to not wreck out of this race. Even if he does wreck out of the race, he would be about maybe 3-4 points to the good. So he is sitting pretty right now. But of course, he would love to get as many points as he could and not have to be the bottom of the barrel in terms of the points for the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to leave all that calculation stuff to you because, Carlos, I failed math 3 times in high school, so it's not necessarily my strong suit. So I just get in there and I drive the car, or I sit up here and I call the race. Oh, trouble in turn 1! 48 just dumped the 90, or the 80, excuse me. He saved it. Still out of
still sideways.
And he's going to go around. That's no yellow yet. Hasn't spun. That was a long wreck, but the 48 started that. Definitely kicked him sideways. Wow, what a job of not wrecking that entirely from the 80 there.
Guy making his debut tonight. Now he's going to fall into the clutches of the 90 that we were just talking about in Chris Newman. Yeah, that was a very long wreck that about circumnavigated the entire back straightaway. And that has allowed Leach to maintain 5th, but the 80 of Chris King has fallen all the way back to 9th.
Yeah, it was a bold move from the 80. I'm not sure. I didn't catch enough of it beforehand, but I'm not sure if Leach lifted down the straightaway to let the 80 go by on the top. But regardless, the 80 tried to complete the pass going into 1 on the outside and nearly had it done. Looked like maybe the 48 just tried to slide up in line behind him, and he just clipped the left rear corner panel there and sent him sideways. So that could have just been a case of Darlington at its finest, but it was a bold move from the 80, nevertheless, to go around on the outside.
The 48, as I mentioned, maintains the 5th spot. Chris Hubka running behind him about 5/10 back. Chris Otto running about 6/10 back of him. This is interesting to look at these 3 right here. 48, the 5, and the 88. All 3 numbers variants of Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah. And all 3 running well here this afternoon, especially Otto, who's seen his fair share of action tonight. Was missing a nose at one point, and now he's running up there in a decent position. Hubka chasing in that 48, though, looking to make some gains there, get himself into the top 5. He's seen some action as well in that 3-car pileup we had earlier on.
Of course, the 48 harkening back to Jimmy Johnson's current race machine. Of course, Jimmy Johnson having lows on the hood majority of his career. The 5, giving a little bit of a shout out to a little bit of a throwback. Terry Labonte was the one that made that scheme famous for Hendrick Motorsports. And then the 88, of course, sporting a machine that is pretty reminiscent of when Dale Jr. drove that machine, and now the driver Alex Bowman in that 88 in the NASCAR Cup Series. So just a nice little snippet of information there. 3 Hendrick variant numbers right there running 5th, 6th, and 7th at the time being.
A couple more throwbacks in the field, some that might be a little more notable as others. One of them that people often forget is the guy leading the race, Christopher Tate, in National Chris 25. That is a throwback to 2007, Casey Mears's 2007 Coke 600 victory. That nice camouflage Chevy Monte Carlo SS, as it was back in 2007. I believe that was Casey Mears's only victory in the Cup Series, if I'm not mistaken.
You'd be correct.
The 96 as well, running a throwback to Bobby Labonte. That famous 18 interstate batteries. It was a Chevrolet back when Labonte was running. Obviously now Inter Chris batteries and a 96 on there. Not a Joe Gibbs number font on there either. It's the 96 number font from when Tony Raines was in the Cup Series in the DLP Chevy. I'm not sure what team it was that he drove for back then, but when Tony Raines was behind the wheel of the 96 machine in the Cup Series, that is the number font that was used. So a little mix match there in paint schemes.
Actually, I think you have a little bit of a different scheme than I do. On my screen, it's harkening back to the DLP segment that was...
Oh, well, that could be it then. I'm seeing Inter Chris.
To answer your question, that was Hall of Fame racing. That had that 96 for many years. Split amongst a lot of different drivers, actually. Joey Logano actually made his Cup debut in that ride back in 2008 before making the jump over to Joe Gibbs in 2009. After Tony Stewart had taken off and went on to form his own race team, Stewart Haas Racing. And then other drivers have driven, like you mentioned, Bobby Labonte has driven that machine. Mm-hmm. Eric Darnell, another name that many people tend to forget. He ran that machine for a little while.
Yeah, he made more of his claim to fame in the truck series. He ran a little bit more in the truck in the 99, I believe, in the truck series.
99 for Roush Racing.
The 29 as well is a little bit of a throwback. Kevin Harvick scheme. An old Kevin Harvick scheme. You don't see that black and red Budweiser scheme ran anymore, as he's obviously now in the 4 machine. But back when he was still with Richard Childress, that scheme was a pretty popular one among himself and fans. So a little bit of a throwback there.
Looking through, not really many else. I mean, Christopher Lawrence has been running this car every week, mostly.
Yeah, but it's a throwback regardless. But as you're right, it's something he's ran all season long. But one of my more favorite old schemes, I love that U.S. Army design there. Ran obviously by Mark Martin, and before him, Joe Nemechek, when he was in the Cup Series.
A satellite ride, really, for the now defunct Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. And then eventually leased on over to Ginn Racing, excuse me. And split amongst a bunch of guys. Regan Smith, almost, not in that particular ride, but almost got his first career win at Talladega in the 01.
Well, same paint scheme, but it was the 08, I believe. It had changed to the 08. I think if you're going back to his Talladega, quote unquote win, I think that was in the 08, but I could be wrong.
I feel like it may have been in the 01, but regardless, the fact is he had that quote unquote win, but as we all know, ducked below that yellow line. That's a big no-no at Daytona and Talladega where they were racing. And the win was eventually given to Tony Stewart in the post-race. He would eventually get his first career win in the 78 machine for Furniture Racing, and where was it at? Right here at Darlington Raceway.
Yes, and I did a little Google search there real quick. You were correct. It was the 01. I don't know why I thought it was the 08 for some reason. Not sure. I don't think the 08 was ever a number on that paint scheme, but that was a DEI car he was running. I think it had DEI on the hood from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, DEI and Principal were the sponsors for the 01 that year. That was 2008, the debut of the car tomorrow. So, just a little bit of just background, folks. It's getting pretty quiet in this race, so we figured we'd give you some background on these schemes. I'm trying to look through. The 13 I know is a throwback.
Yes.
If you could dig up more on that. I remember because that actually did run in the Cup Series. Driven by Casey Mears, of all people.
Yeah, it's an old Geico paint scheme. I can't remember who it's a throwback to.
May have been Smokey Eunuch. I'm not sure.
I think that's correct. It's got Smokies down there on the side. My goodness, when you get a chance, I don't know if you have the chance, but hop on board there and take a look at the fire suit he's running there, too. That was quite a surprise.
I don't know if I'm able to even have a camera angle that has that. That one's not it.
Use the rear chase camera. Works well for that, I find.
Look at oh wow.
A little shirtless. I'm not sure that's within NASCAR regulations, but props to Chris Papa on the paint or on the racing suit. I think that's suit of the year right there. That's fantastic.
For all we know, he may be in his birthday suit, but regardless, wow, that is something you don't see every day. Chris Papa running that little look tonight. He's actually making his way towards the pits right now, so. Going all this rambling through, we really skeeted through this green flag run. Christopher Tate's checked out from everybody, 2.4 seconds ahead of Tommy Gossett. I think we're getting towards the end of this green flag run, and we might be seeing some pit stops pretty soon.
Yeah, we're about 25 laps into I guess it is time for us to start calling the race action as we see it again. We are about 25 laps into this run, so we might see guys start to dive on the pit road in about the next 5 to 10 laps. Curious to see how that if my guesstimations were correct on in terms of fuel.
Yeah, we went back green at about lap 80 or so, so it is about 25 laps now. So, looking at it here, Tate is running a little bit of a low to high line when he goes through 3 and 4, and then he runs about middle groove. If there is even a middle groove with how thin this racetrack is, really the middle groove is right there at that white line. You'd think the low line would be right down there along that yellow line at the base of the racetrack. No, folks, you don't want to run down there. That's the apron. So the 25, that's his line right now, and it's been maintaining well. The gap was above 3 seconds at one point, but it's shrunk down to about 2.5 seconds now between him and the 96.
Yeah, you do see guys run down on that apron in real life. There is a little bit more grip down there, especially in turns 3 and 4 to get the car to turn a little bit better. You do see passes made down there. It is legal. It's a dotted white line, so it's perfectly legal to make passes down there. But in iRacing, it's unfortunately a little too slippery down there to have any sort of grip to where you can make any passes. You will see guys dip down there to get the car to turn off the corner. Late in the run, you'll see it happen off of turn number 2. They'll dip 2 tires below that white line. They try and get the car to rotate off so they don't go up and smack that wall, and you'll see it happen a little bit in 3 and 4 as well, just to help with the rotation of that car late into the run like we're seeing here.
75 laps to go here tonight at the Lady in Black, Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. Chris Tate, well in control of the lead, got the gap closing between him and the 96 of Chris Gossett. We'll see how it pans out with pit stops looming here. Wait, I was about to go to the break. Chris Noblet just smacked the wall right in front of the 25.
Yeah, gave the 25 a little bit of a scare there. He darted down to the inside, and he's going to get by him safely. I think we're good now to go to that commercial.
So yeah, now we'll head to the commercial break, brought to you by Rapid Fired Pizza, the pizza company for the Rapid Fired Pizza National Series, another series brought here on Flat Out Racing Network. We'll be back on the other side of the break, hopefully with pit stops, as we are 74 laps to the end of this one. Laps to go here tonight at the Lady in Black, Darlington Raceway. Carlos Zimmerman, Logan Brakey bringing you the action here tonight at the Lady in Black. Christopher Tate well in control of the lead right now as we're approaching green flag pit stops. We're about 34, 35 laps into this run. Tommy Gossett, he has held the second position down for quite some time. Chris James, who's led some laps tonight, he's up in third. Christopher Williams trying to just log laps at this point in fourth, and then Chris Otto. Good rebound for him. He is up in the fifth position. Logan, your projections are right. We're in that window now.
Yep, and it looks like I could be a little bit off the mark. So maybe my original projection was more accurate. We may be around 45 to 50 laps because I go back to that variable of the pace of this race slowing way down once the tires start to wear. You spend a lot more time off the gas, so that will ultimately save you a little bit of fuel. So I think maybe we'll see that stretch out to maybe about 45 to 50 now.
If that's the case, that would be about 10, 15 laps from now. So we'll see how that plays out going forward. Harkening back to your point about being bad at math, when I was trying to do the math there, I could be completely wrong too when making the judgment about Chris Newman and Christopher Lawrence. I failed college algebra twice, so and folks, it's really bad whenever you're spending literal money on it. So anyway. The math, we're not really the math gurus here. I was just trying to figure out if that was the case. We'll find out post-race. That's the case. And here's the thing now for Christopher Tate. He's got a 1.5 seconds on the 96 and a wall of lap traffic in front of him.
Yeah, and lap traffic is not easy to pass, especially when they're all battling for position. At least the first two are the 62 and the 90. Are battling for position. So don't expect them to just move over and let that leader by easily. Although I might stand corrected here. The 90's got a little bit of a gap to the 62, so maybe he'll let him go. He's going to give him the outside line. So it's going to slow the 25 down a little bit, allow the 96 to close up just a hair, but it's certainly no easy task nonetheless to get by traffic here at Darlington of all places.
Yeah, I know this is the whole thing about, lap traffic holding up leaders and stuff like that. The 25, yeah, he got around him. That's going to allow the 96 to go by. But the 96, he has to get around that same lap traffic. So it's a matter of who navigates around the lap traffic the best, and that is who is able to gain the most time. A lot of people have a problem understanding that as the 62 pulls out of the way, and now the 96 has got to get around two pieces of lap traffic.
Starting to see a lot of guys slide up and kiss the wall a little bit here, so the tires are starting to really fall off. So curious to see if we've asked this question a lot of times this season, and the answer has always been fuel. But which is going to make these guys break first? Is it going to be the tire wear? Or are they going to just want to stretch out the fuel? And I have a feeling it's going to be fuel again, but it's going to be something to watch out for to see what factor the tire wear has and how long these guys stay out on those tires.
You want to point it out, the 90 has come down in pits, and he was a lead lap car. So, I think the window's starting to opening. I think your projection was just about right. About 35 to 40 laps, as that was 40 laps into that run when Newman came down.
Yeah, he's sitting on pit road a little bit longer than he would like. I'm not sure what's going on here, but the left sides have dropped, so maybe repairing a little bit of damage. I'll go back and take a look. That would be costly in his championship boat here.
Yeah, now he sits behind Christopher Lawrence, a full lap behind Christopher Lawrence. Now he's on the same laps as the 71 of Christopher Landy, so that's going to be interesting to watch for the rest of the night. Not many else, so that may have been an unscheduled stop for the 90. So, or it may have been a scheduled stop, and he's just trying to tease the fuel run, but he's 3 laps down.
He's still sitting on pit road, though, so I have a feeling it's an external factor that's keeping him there, because I didn't see anything that would have forced him down on pit road to repair damage.
But the 09, who I believe hasn't had, if anything, cosmetic damage tonight, he's now in the pits, so the window is opening, folks. And with them pitting at about lap 122, lap 123, that's close to 60 to go, they're going to have to come around one more time if a caution does not come out the rest of the way.
But yeah, I think in terms of fuel, it'd be a stretch to stay out from here. So I'm thinking you're right. I think they cut this last stage in half here. The 09 is now leaving his pit, so his service is done. But I think you're right. We'll see this final stage, if you will, be cut in half. In terms of that, still a rocket pace for the 25. But that being said, the 96 has closed the gap quite a bit. So Tommy Gossett's showing some real speed here.
Looking like he may have had the car that's got the best long run car. That was the case for him last week at Atlanta. And again, people, he did not. He had probably one of the most unlucky breaks I've ever seen in my year of calling iRacing here for Flat Out Racing Network. Having the internet issue lag him to the point where the iRacing caught him for speeding, when in reality he wasn't really speeding, and that caused him to make a extended stay in the pits, and that happened under green. So it's not like he could have recovered if it were under yellow. It was under green, and that effectively ended his chances at his first career win.
Yeah, that was gutting to watch, even from a broadcaster's perspective, because you know how hard guys work to get to positions where they dominate races, and to have something like that they can't control happen like that cost them the race is just, it's just awful. I mean, you could tell how gutted he was from it, because as immediately as it happened, he just left the service, or left the race rather, not the service as a whole, but he left the race just out of pure, I don't even want to say frustration, just disappointment, because there's not a lot you can do to control that. So just a gutting way to end his race there, and he's looking to rebound here as he's got that 25 reeled in and close to the boat.
Gap now at about 0.3 of a second. More lap traffic in front of the 25. 25 still has not brought it down. So Christopher Lawrence may have short pitted under that one. Actually, or not Christopher Lawrence, Christopher Williams. Actually, did he have a little bit of an extended stop? No, it was a normal stop.
No, it was,
about 14 seconds. So, yeah, he may have short pitted and maybe trying to play strategy here, maybe catch a late race caution and be able to get everyone back on the even playing field. But, yeah, the two leaders have not made any motion to pit lane as the 13 gets out of the way, and here comes the 25.
Yep. And it's that's actually a very smart move. You see from Tate, he started that dive very early before he even got to the corner, because that pit entry this is a tough pit entry. It's way down there on the inside wall, Carlos. So it's tough to get to, and I like that call to enter the pits so early.
So he pits here at lap 129, 55 laps to go here this evening. So roughly, oh boy.
Oh, you could stretch that if you really wanted to. So this could be interesting if this stays green.
If this stays green, that could put him at about, if he pit, so roughly 49.50 laps on fuel. That's 4 laps short of the finish. If he plays his cards right, he could definitely stretch it. But then here's the other question. Is the 96 going to stretch it? Because he's still, oh boy, one car in the wall just in front of him. Who was that?
The 88 of Otto, I think it was.
It was the 88. And he's running third, 1 lap down. And now he'll just bring it down into the pits and get his service. That's going to leave us, folks, with 1 car on the lead lap, and that being our leader, the 96.
Oh boy, it happens. The 29 is scored. Actually, 29 is scored barely on the lead lap. Oh no, he's on pit road, so he'll lose that lap this time by 96. If he stays out, will be the only car on the lead lap. Does not look like it's going to happen, though. He's going to dive on the pit road this time, come in for his service. Now, this is where we see, does the undercut happen? Does Tate, well, mind you, Tate entered pits before the 96 ahead of him in terms of on-track position. So we'll see if Gossett is able to jump that and come out ahead of the 25, or if the 25 is going to retain the lead once this cycles out. He's going to get his lap back here. It's going to be close.
We're watching the 96 here just cross the line to give us 52 laps to go. And he's going to bring it in here. Folks, I want to touch on another thing. Chris Newman is still sitting in the pits here, and so it looks like his night has really gone up in flames. But it looks like he's going to try and continue. Meanwhile, 96, he's in the pits now. The leader, he just got to his pit stall. 25's already in the front stretch. So, yeah, the 25's going to get his lead back.
Yeah, by a large margin here. There he goes. Left side tires just now going up on the 96. So a fantastic margin there between the two.
And that he's actually going to lose.
He's going to lose
second place to the 48.
Wow, what a recovery drive that the 48 is on. We haven't really seen him up inside the top 3 very much.
And Gossett's going to lose third to the 17 of Noblet.
Very interesting.
Well,
so we'll see. Yikes.
That didn't last long at all. So the 96 takes third back.
I think we're going to see this. We're going to see this cycle back out to where Gossett is going to be right behind the 25 here in about maybe 20 laps or so, because fresh tires is so much faster than older tires here, and we're already seeing him put a challenge up on the 62. In fact, 62 is off the pace. So's the 48.
Whoa.
Chris
what is happening here? Yeah, Leach is coming back.
He's still got power in the engine, so he's not out of fuel. His last pit prior to this is a scheduled pit stop.
Okay, so he did not pit yet.
There is some sputtering going on here, so he has stretched at the distance.
I'm also going to point out another thing. The 17 is still out on the racetrack, and it looks like he's sputtering as he is slow on the front.
Yeah, hearing quite a bit of sputtering here from the 48 as he's coming in. He's going to coast into his box now. So he stretched at the distance. There, he's now out of gas. There's no, he ran out entering his pit box. So his last pit stop was under caution at lap. Looks like based on the times. Well, we went green on lap 80, so his pit lap was about lap 78, I think.
Mm-hmm. So
that's when he came in.
It's about 57 laps.
Yeah.
I just want to point this out. Noblet is still out on the racetrack. Only car that has not come down to pit yet. 57 laps on this run for him. I know he doesn't have the gas.
He just ran out of fuel. He's down on the apron now. He's sputtered quite a bit in the turn one, and he's now completely out of fuel. That's his race right there.
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't have enough to make it around. He's not out of fuel.
Well, hang on. My camera's angles are messed up. Yeah, he's not quite out of fuel. He's going to bring it down into the old pit lane here. Going 9 miles an hour. He may have just stretched it one lap too far.
I mean, it sounded like he was out of fuel, but then he threw it in reverse and was able to back it up. So I'm not sure what. Okay, well, he's going to call it quits for today. Not sure what I'm not sure what happened there. But regardless,
I am not certain what the call was there on the 17, but the one we got to watch is the 48 of his run.
Real quick before we focus on that, our championship battle has come to an end. Chris Newman has called it a night. He's officially out of the race. That would secure a top 16 spot for Chris Lawrence. Now, it's the fact of, is Cody Jenkins going to be able to hang on to his spot in 15th, or is he going to get knocked out just by the fact that Chris Newman showed up to tonight's race? He's currently scored 13th.
Pending, because Corvo only has to make up 2 laps. Papa needs to make up 3, and then Roberge needs to make up 5. All 3 of them still out on the racetrack. So he'll fall all the way to 16th, and then I looked at the points breakdown. You get 19 points for finishing 16th. And Chris Newman was 14 behind Cody Jenkins entering tonight.
Okay.
So that might be enough. It might be just enough to get him in.
It's something we'll have to. We probably won't know until the checkered flag falls here. So, or until a little bit after. Just we'll have to wait and let the points get calculated out by our league admins here. So, as they run the only thing we can say for sure is Newman will not make. Well, again, I guess we can't say it for sure, but Chris Lawrence is going to make the postseason. He will hang on to his 16th spot at least, and he will be in the postseason fight for the championship.
Yes, he will. He will maintain that spot, and he'll be at least 16th entering. Could be 15th. We'll have to see on points discrepancies.
Right.
But with 43 laps to go tonight, he is set to go on to race in the final 5 races of the season, as Christopher Tate, his gap, it's all the way down to 5.5 seconds on the 96.
Yeah, and I think this is where we're going to see the fresher tires prevail. We were shocked to see how far back that the 96 fell, but again, I think that's the differential between old and new tires. That's why he lost all that time, just because he was out there a few extra laps on those old tires, so everybody was able to jump him for a little bit. But now he's cycling back out. We're going to see him breathing up the tailpipes here of the 25 here before long.
So that's, again, going to call into question with the 96 stretched it an extra 3 laps further than Tate did. And we've seen how far these guys can go. About 55 laps minimum on the run. And Tate pitted at about, I'm trying to look at the telemetry, 15 laps ago. So lap 129. That gets him 54 laps to the finish.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. And we even had it last week. Christopher Tate said he had 0.5 at the line, Carlos, at Atlanta last week, and he ran out during his burnouts. So I mean, we were close last week and we didn't even know it, but now we have a pretty good indication of what the fuel mileage is going to be. So we're pretty confident that it's going to be very tight and come down in the final lap here in terms of fuel.
And you got to consider this too. The 96 pitted 3 laps later. So he would be pitting at about lap 132. He could easily stretch it all the way to the finish and not have to pit again. But here's the question, though. Did he use a lot of his stuff trying to catch the 25 here?
Yeah, that's going to be the deciding factor, is how much of his tires has he used up? How cautious has he been? Because he's got that gap down now to 1.3 seconds. He's got 2 lap cars between him and the 25. He's tossed the line in the water. He's hooked the fish. He's reeled it in. He's got it to the boat, but now does he have enough strength to pull it out of the water and secure his catch? It's just a story that only time is going to tell. He's making a move to the inside. Patience, Tommy, patience. He's going to get, okay, there we go. So now he's got clear sailing ahead to that 25 machine now. So if I'm him, I'm just lap 147 out of 183. Ride behind him. You're faster than him just because you've got newer tires. So just slowly let him come back to you. He doesn't need to run hard at this point. Make sure you've got enough to make it to the end of this thing.
That end comes in 36 laps. And looking back at the 29 of Chris James, his pace has slowed. So he probably won't be a factor. Only other car on the lead lap is the 09 of Christopher Williams, and they're about a corner and a half away from him. So here comes the 96. He is up to the bumper of the 25 here. When they hit the line, there'll be 35 to go. And if we stay green, that'll make a very interesting thing here. If a caution comes out on any of our ramblings at this point, they go out the window and everyone goes in there.
I'm just curious to see how hard these guys race each other here with what's at stake. Chris Tate's got nothing to lose. He's good by miles, and honestly, Gossett doesn't have anything to lose either. He's not in contention to make a postseason. He's just out here for wins. So I think both of these guys will just give it everything here, and that looks to be the case. Nobody's really letting anybody have an inch.
Yeah, the 96 made a move there in 3 and 4, and the 25 held them off on the outside. So that could call something into question. Maybe the 96 did use a little bit more than he should have.
Well, it's a big run off of 2. This is where it's going to get the job done. I don't know if Tate's going to let him go. Might look for a crossover here. Doesn't have quite enough. I think this is where we'll see the 96 drive away. No, Tate's still there. He's going to put a nose to the inside.
No, I think that got him.
Yeah, I think this is where we're going to see the 96 walk away here. Again, just because his tires are newer, but this race still isn't over. He's got to make sure he makes it to the end of this thing.
And now here's another thing to consider for you, Logan. Did the 25 use a lot of stuff when letting the 96 catch up to him? Because essentially that's what happened. That was close.
Yeah, that was close. In terms of what now?
In terms of his tires.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yes and no. I mean, his like we said, his tires are older. You could bet he's burning his stuff up now to try and stay with the 96 because that machine is faster. It's a bump! That was a little bit of a bumper to the 96. They're off a 2, and the 25 is going to pay the price. He pounded that outside wall.
That, if things stay where they're at now, that might have been the race right there, pending fuel mileage. Wow, as the 96 now, he is going to drive away from that. I'm impressed how he was able to control that machine when the 25 got into him.
I think that was an unintentional touch because the 96, I think, checked up. He was getting tight off of 2, and he checked up, and the 25 just wasn't expecting it. So I don't think that was necessarily intentional. He was probably trying to set him up for a run. There's a little bit of a brush with the wall. Oh, we're looking at a Craven Bush situation here. Both these cars have a lot of right side damage, and they're not going to be handling all that great. So this is going to come down to the wire here, Carlos.
So now you bring up Craven Bush. Does that mean that both of these cars are running great in terms of Darrell Waltrip's eyes, or are they running awful in terms of Larry Mack's eyes?
They're driving good, man.
30 laps to go here tonight at Darlington Raceway in the cNASCAR Cup Series. We'll send it to our final break of the night, brought to you by Shorbus Racing Graphics and the NSCRA Icebreakers Online Series. When we come back, we'll take you all the way to the finish of this one here tonight at the Lady in Black. 27 laps to go here tonight at Darlington. The battle's starting to brew up again between the 96 and the 25. 25's running back down. And it could be potentially setting up for quite a finish, Logan, as we're 26 laps from it.
Yeah, neither of these guys are saving, that's for sure. They're pushing hard. As you said, 25 has reeled him back. And caution on the racetrack. The 7's gone around in turn 1. Come on, man.
Well, there goes all of our talking about rambling. If this is going to make it all the way to the end, if anyone's going to make it to the end on fuel, well, now that answers the question. Yes, everyone's going to make it in on fuel.
Yeah, the strategy's done. Everybody's good to the end. Now it's just going to be good, hard racing to the end. Dang, but again, the 48 and turn 1 have not gotten along well tonight. 7 was helped around again by the 48. We saw him get into the 80 earlier tonight. And this time it's the 7 that falls victim to that right front nose of the 48.
We'll see it here on the replay. 48's going to dive it in here. Well, the 7 got the wall.
He did.
So
again, I got to go back to patience. That wasn't a pass that needed to be made right then and there.
No, it didn't.
It's, I don't know. Darlington requires patience, and that's what we're seeing it from the two guys who have dominated this race, the 96 and the 25. They've been the most patient. That's why they've led almost all the laps here tonight. Chris James, he's back on the lead lap, or is still on the lead lap. He's in the 29 machine. Scored in third. Only 3 cars on the lead lap. Christopher Reese should get the lucky dog.
Give us
the waiver.
Yeah. Give us 4 on the lead lap. And folks, I think right here you are watching to see whoever wins the race off of pit lane, whoever has the best pit stop. Oh, never mind. He's just moving tires. I thought the 25 slid through his box. Whoever wins this race off of pit lane, he's going to be the control car for this restart. Should be 4 tires and fuel for both these guys, and it will be the 96 or the 25. Both of them still getting service here. Maybe some damage on the 25 because Chris James just beat him off the pits.
Oh, boy. Well, that could change some things.
Oh, that's the wrong guy.
Remember we did
sitting in pits.
Yeah, remember we did see him get the wall though with the 96 a few laps ago. He got it pretty good. He got it worse than the 96 did. So he's probably fixing that optional damage, getting that car to handle a little bit better. He's going to restart third. So not in a terrible spot by any means. Only 4 cars on the lead lap, like we said. And Christopher Reese is going to start at the tail end, so he's going to have to come through all the lap traffic to even get up there and fight for the lead. So for now, it's just 2 other cars that he's got to worry about. So it was a good call there. Get the damage fixed and get his stuff back in tip-top shape or very near to it.
So it'll be a different battle here for the final 20 laps or so, the 96 and the 29. Now remember, we've seen the 29. He has had some decent short-run speed.
Yes.
So if the 29 is able to challenge the 96 here, it could be quite the battle, a 3-car fight to the end. Because about 20 laps is where we about start to see the 29 fall off. So it's right on that cusp. So we'll see how it plays out. So yeah, they're the only 3 on the lead. Or well, add Christopher Reese, and there's your 4 lead lap cars. As you said, the 62 has to start tail end. And the first car off the lead lap is the car that's in 5th. That is Chris Otto. Chris Jonathan Leach, he is 6th. Christopher Lawrence, good run for him tonight. He's secured a playoff spot. He is 7th. Christopher Williams 8th. Chris Hupka 9th. And Christopher Landy trying to just roll out a top 10 finish tonight. Another car who has retired from the race tonight, Chris Papa, has put it in the behind the wall. He will finish officially 15th tonight. Other cars out of the race, Chris Newman, Chris T. Jones, Chris Summers, and Chris Edwards, who exited the race way at the beginning.
Well, we'll probably have about a 20-lap dash to the finish, which, honestly, Carlos, it's not a long enough run where you've got to focus on saving tires, because that tire fall-off window is around 7 to 10 laps, and then from there you've got 10 to 13 laps to go. So if you're too cautious here on the start of you could save your tires a little more than everybody else is. Don't run as hard as everybody else is doing, but you still need to push to keep yourself in a spot to take advantage of whenever the tires do go away. But I don't know. I think this is Mix 3 ERS deployed on max. Sorry, I've been watching a little too much F1, but I mean, you push hard here on this restart.
No, that's an excellent point. You know, you're going to the finish at this point. Tire saving and fuel saving, it's out the window. You're good on fuel. You push your tires to the limit at this point if you're any of the top 3 right now. So this is going to be quite one of the. This is going to be I think going to be a really exciting way to cap off the regular season.
And none of these guys have anything to lose. Tate is by far and away locked into the postseason. Chris Jones is up there Chris James. He is he in their top 16? He is not. So he's not in contention. Yeah, he's 29th in points. He's not in contention to get into the top 16, nor is Chris Gossett. So all 3 of these guys have nothing to lose here, Carlos. So they'll put each other in the fence to win this thing, I think. I would.
I'm in agreement. I think that's definitely what is going to be the case here for these final exactly 20 laps to the end of this thing. Tommy Gossett has elected the inside line. He is seeking redemption from his mishap at Atlanta last week. A win tonight would definitely give him that. Chris Tate well in control, just looking for padding for playoff points. Chris James looking for pride tonight for taming the track too tough to tame by picking up a win. 20-lap shootout to the end. Gossett's already on the gas. The green flag right here will come back out, and it's a 3-horse race to find a winner.
Not a bad call there. Give yourself a little bit of a distance from that 29. We've seen him be so fast here on this run. He could steal a win away here, Carlos. He's been so quick on these short runs.
Here he comes, right up to the back bumper of the 96. Will he dive it to the inside? Maybe put the bumper to the 96 there through the corner. Backs off of him a little bit as Tate looms in the distance.
Yeah, I thought there'd be a little bit of a bump there, a little bit of argy-bargy from the 29 going into turn 3, but he got through there smoothly. Yeah, 20 laps is enough time to where you can take your time to set a guy up for a pass. You don't need to make aggressive moves every single lap. So you've got time to be patient and let the guy in front of you make a mistake, but he better not look in that mirror because it is filled with the front end of that 25 machine right now.
They're all right there with each other. The last thing I think any of these guys want to see is a caution where you rack them up again and then you add the 62 to the equation because he'd restart with them. And then so that make it a 4-horse race. Of course, Reese doesn't have quite as good enough speed, obviously, because he's currently 17 seconds off the pace and definitely going to lose a lap here before we even get to the end. But here we go. Here comes the 29 again. Is he going to try and move it to the inside, try to get the 96 loose?
Take a little bit of air off that back end. I think he's got to really focus on arcing the corner a little bit better than the 96 is. He's got to be higher up in the corner for a majority of the corner, and then waiting till the corner exit, the exit of 2 or the exit of 4, to really arc it down to the bottom. And he's got to do it this lap because Chris Tate is all over him right now. Get up. He's got to get up a little bit higher than that, Carlos. He's not going to be able to get the run off if he's that low in the corner.
It's like he's running the same line as the 96 through both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
He's fallen in the trap of monkey see, monkey do. He's staring at the back bumper of that 96 is what he's doing, and that's exactly why he's following in his tire tracks, is because he's just staring at that back bumper. He's got to run up high. If he runs up high here in 3 and 4, he can really arc it down off of turn 4 here, but he's just not getting up high enough.
Well, I think the thing is, too, the 96 is kind of taking that line away up through the middle of the corner, so that's why the 29 is not able to make that run off the corner. If anything, that would allow the 29 to just run up on him. Got a really good run, though, through 1 and 2 as they catch up to the lap car of Reese. Will he make a move down the back straightaway? No, he stays glued to him as the 62 hopefully gets out of the way, and he does.
He does. So
whoa, 96 got a little loose there. The 29 might get a run.
You know, look, it actually forced the 29 to check up, and now Tate's going to be there to take advantage of it.
I think what's happening here, Logan, they're just laying in wait. There's 14 laps to go. I think their eyes are going to be set for inside 5 to go whenever moves start happening. And, you know, Darlington, they produce really, really good finishes in the Cup Series. We've mentioned it. That Craven Busch battle, 2003, arguably one of the greatest finishes in NASCAR history. We could be staring at another one here tonight in iRacing in the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series regular season finale. A 3-horse race to find a winner here tonight.
If I'm Chris Gossett, I'm gonna continue doing exactly what he's been doing. I see, keep running the line and running through 3 and 4. The 29's not getting any sort of momentum through 1 and 2. All time to be gained right now is through 3 and 4. And if I'm Gossett, I'm running that exact same line, which he's continuing to do, and it keeps backing that 29 up. Here comes the 25. He's looking at the inside. This is going to be an aggressive move, but he's got to take it now if he wants to get to that 96. Pass complete. Here comes the 25.
And that might effectively take the 29 out of it if he's not able to keep pace.
I just think he's going about the approach in 3 and 4 a little too long. Maybe his car was a little tight behind that 96, so he couldn't really play around with his lines a little bit, Carlos. There's so many factors that could have prevented him from doing it, but that's what he needed to do. He needed to get up a little bit higher so he could arc the exit of the corner a little bit better than that 96, but he just wasn't able to get it done.
Gap extending a little bit now, about 0.7 of a second back is Christopher Tate, and he's going to look to try and keep it there as Logan, really, I should say, we're the only two here, as they're running up on lap traffic. The 01, 48, and 5 are the next 3 they would catch. The lap traffic has been kind tonight and has allowed them to go on by. Still could be a factor, especially if you catch them in a bad part of the racetrack.
Yeah, but we've seen the lap traffic be pretty cordial here this afternoon, and I would hope they continue to do so, as that gap, I think, is closing ever so slightly. But at this point now, I think it's in the bag for the 96, and provided something happens, 25 got the wall. Yeah, so this is smooth sailing now for Gossett. He's got that gap now out to, should be about 1.5 seconds now. This one, no, still 9/1000, so still within striking distances, that 25. If should something happen, he's going to catch his bad spot. That's going to cost him some time.
Yeah, that did cost him some time. 96 didn't like that one bit. He moved the 01 down off the racing surface. That might allow the 25 to close the gap again. The gap now back to 0.7.
It's a game of cat and mouse, really, just waiting for the other guy to make a mistake. But again, I got to go back to that. Darlington is huge for the case of monkey see, monkey do. And what I mean by that is you get so focused on the guy you're chasing, you start watching him more than watching where you need to be turning the car into. And all of a sudden, he could get up into the fence, and because you're so focused on him, you lose track of where you're at, and you're up into the fence. So Tate's got to be careful not to fall into that trap if he wants to catch Gossett, because that's all he needs is for that 96 to slip up once, slip out of line once, catch that fence once, and he's right back there.
He's running up here again on the 48, not the best of spots.
Yeah, just unlucky, just bad luck there in terms of catching that lap traffic. Hopefully he stays low for the 25. Looks like he will. Oh, no, he's going to slide up a little bit. That's a teammate that he cut off.
And with that happening, the gap had cut down to 0.4.
Yeah, it opened up now to about a half second, but that gap still did close.
Wow.
Just a little bit. It's closed back up again.
Maybe Tate was possibly saving some stuff that we didn't realize.
Yeah, waiting to save a little bit left for this very late charge here because...
Oh, he's in the fence.
He's in the fence a little bit, but it was just a kiss, Carlos, just a kiss, and it wasn't enough to really slow him down. Yeah, and I see what the gap is here.
Gap is at about 6/10 now, so he really only lost a tenth by getting the wall. 5 laps to go. This is around the money area that I figured that he would start trying to make a charge. Really got the wall off of 2 there.
He got it good there. That might be enough to do him in, unless something happens with the 96. I think that's going to be all she wrote right there. That's going to make that 25 tight. Yeah, that's going to be. I think the fat lady's warming up and she's about ready to sing for the 96 because that's going to tighten up that 25 machine quite a bit. 1.2 seconds now, the gap at the line, and it's increasing.
And no lap traffic in sight. Next one is the 71. He's a full straightaway away. Could be caught. We'll see how it plays out. 4 laps to go. Chris Tommy Gossett, I mentioned he was looking for a rebound in this one after his trouble at Atlanta. Ooh, took that corner a little wide there. Didn't kiss the wall, so he should be okay. Actually got a little tiny bit of it, but so did Tate. So the 25 may have just used up all his stuff. 3 laps to go here tonight at Darlington.
As you said, green racetrack ahead of him. Next car is Christopher Landy. He's about a half straightaway ahead of him. Not enough time for him to catch, I don't think. Going to be coming around to 2 laps to go, though, this time for the 96.
He continues to wheel it around right up next to that wall. Watch him here off the corner if he maybe gets a chunk of it. Able to keep it off. So did Tate, but the gap's a second and a half. 2 laps to go. Leader takes the white flag. Next flag would end the race, but everyone's pretty spread out, so we're not really expecting a caution at this point. Chris Tommy Gossett sitting in the catbird seat right now to pick up his first career win in the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series.
6 corners left for the 96 machine, and what a story of redemption it is for him. As you said, he dominated the race at Atlanta and had connection issues end his race a little earlier than he would have liked. Not so much end his race, but cost him a chance at a victory, giving him a speeding penalty coming to pit road. He just takes the white flag. 2 corners left for the 96 machine.
Again, a green racetrack in front of him. The 25 of 1.4 seconds back just got the wall again, and that should wrap it up on the 25's day. Through turns 3 and 4, what a redemption story for the 96. Trouble last week at Atlanta, but tonight no trouble. He's going to pick up his first win of the season here in the regular season finale at Darlington. The 96, your winner.
Pretty commanding race overall for him, and it's good to see. You hate to see guys lose races the way he did last week, and really took the fight here to Tate, who we saw him have a little bit of trouble early on, and once he finally managed to claw his way up into position to fight for a win, Christopher Tate, that is, we saw his speed come to light like we always do week in and week out. And Gossett, on that last restart, man, I haven't seen Christopher Tate drive as hard to try and catch a race leader as he did tonight, honestly, Carlos. Gossett seemed to really bring the best out of Tate, the guy who's dominated the season with 5 wins in the season. And, I mean, he put it up in the fence 5 or 6 times there in the course of that last run, just trying to keep pace with Gossett, and it was very impressive to see.
You see the 96 burn it down here on the front straightaway. Again, regular season finale here tonight at Darlington. Just, like you said, a dominant race for him. A rebound after last week's trouble, and now he gets to bring it home to victory lane as he will now do a patented Polish victory lap.
Pretty much a tradition at this point in the throwback race here, the almost Southern 500, I believe, is what they're calling this event. Made famous by Alan Kowicki, I think, is who started this. Yeah, started this tradition, and it lives on today here in honor of his name.
He brings it around here. Just an incredible run for him. Of course, folks, not in contention for making any sort of playoff spot, so this was really just all for redemption and pride tonight. So the 96, harkening back to that Hall of Fame racing colors, he brought it home into victory lane here tonight. Christopher Tate, a second place finish, nothing to be ashamed about. Really good run for him. Chris James in a return race for him. He finished third. Chris Otto fourth. And Chris Jonathan Leach will round out fifth. Whenever the 96 decides to close out his race, we will send it to the full finishing results, and you'll probably get to hear from both him and Christopher Tate here tonight in this one at Darlington. Just an all-around, a solid race, 5 cautions. So it's not like we really had much bad stuff happen tonight, Logan. It was an all-around a pretty decent race, despite only 3 cars finishing on the lead lap.
Yeah, one of the more cleaner Darlington races I've seen here, and perhaps that had to do with a little bit of a smaller field, but most of the big trouble happened early. We saw a few multi-car wrecks there in the opening laps, opening 50, 60 laps, so that thinned out the field pretty quick, and from there on, it was a pretty green race. This, I think, was the second longest race of the season. I know it is in real life. It's the second longest behind the Coke 600, so I think these races are half distance, so I think I'm fair in saying that this was the second longest race of these guys this season, and just a great race overall to sit and watch.
So with that, you see your full finishing results there. Again, the rest of your top 10 was Christopher Rees, Christopher Williams, Chris Hupka, Christopher Lawrence, and Christopher Landy, and there's the rest of your results from this evening's race here tonight at Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. Now we'll get to hear now from your second place finisher, Christopher Tate.
Comes after that, trying to catch you.
Christopher Tate. Sorry, I caught you in a conversation there. This is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got me?
Yep. How are you doing?
Man, you really gave it all you could there at the end, trying to catch Chris Tommy Gossett. It was just you just the car just kept washing up into the fence, and you were still able to bring it home second. Couldn't get your 6th win, but just give me your thoughts on the race tonight.
Overall, the race went pretty well. I feel like Gossett was definitely he was equal with me, but at the end of it, I feel like if I wasn't caught in those wrecks early on, I could have had something for him, but I also feel like I wore out my stuff just trying to catch him. But overall, good race for me, good win for him, and it's definitely good to see him win after what happened last week.
Yeah, no, we that was really the talking point when talking about Chris Gossett tonight, was that that unfortunate thing that happened to him last week at Atlanta, and then he's able to rebound with a win tonight. We'll talk to him in a moment. But Tate, you're coming in. You got 5 wins as you head into the playoffs. You will definitely be the points leader entering in, with, especially if any bonus points are accrued. Really, I don't have much to talk about with you on the race tonight, other than one thing I'll touch in a second. But what's your mindset heading into this 5-race playoff?
Definitely my goal is to win every single one, but I feel like I should probably race smarter than I have all season rather than making over-the-head moves and putting myself at risk. So I'm just going to try and go in, race smart, and go for the win whenever I can.
And one thing I want to touch on tonight, had that last caution not come out, I think I'm trying to pick your mind here. Same last thing to Chris Gossett. Were you going to stretch it all the way to the end?
I was planning on it. He closed that 13-second gap. I was letting off quite a bit, just trying to save what I could, save what fuel I had, because I think if I would have been well out, I would probably been a lap or 2 short. So I was just trying to save. I'm glad we got the caution to at least give me a chance at him. But overall, I think he would have won it either way.
Absolutely. He arguably had the best car all night long. But, again, second place for you tonight. That's going to net you definitely some much-needed points, since Bass and Takis didn't show up tonight. So I know everything resets, but this should definitely give you some momentum going in. Before I let you go this evening, Christopher, do you have anybody you want to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, you guys for putting on the broadcast every week. Chris Jones for putting the whole season on. All the Chris's for competing. All the military members. I'm not running my Marines paint scheme this week. Figured I'd do a throwback to the Casey Mears and this paint scheme I ran earlier this year. And that about sums it up.
Artie, that was second place finisher tonight, Christopher Tate. He is your regular season champion. So congratulations to him. And Christopher, best of luck to you as we head to Chicagoland.
All right, thank you.
All right, now we'll bring in our race winner, Chris Tommy Gossett. Chris Gossett, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the Flat Out Racing Network booth. You got me?
Yes, sir, I do.
Man, I'm sure this is the key for you tonight that we mentioned throughout the broadcast was redemption after what happened with you last week at Atlanta, and then you definitely redeemed yourself tonight with a win. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, just to touch on what happened in Atlanta last week. On my internet's usually good, but it was storming outside, and right as I went down pit road, I blinked and it gave me a speeding penalty. And since I'm not running for nothing, there was no point in me just screwing someone else up, so I just alt F4'd out of that. But yeah, tonight was definitely redemption. Lap cars gave me a heart attack a few times there when I was running down Tate on the long run and before that last caution. But yeah, definitely a redeemer.
Yeah, no, I know you had to come into this with a different mindset, not being eligible for going into the chase for the Chris Cup. So I'm sure you had to have that in your mind if anyone else was running better than you. But you arguably had the best car tonight. Do you concur with that?
Depends on what part of the run you're talking about. I mean, I'm not a short run guy, as you can tell. I don't like running short runs. I make my cars when I build a set and I practice long runs. Uh, Tate, I thought was going to win that race because I didn't think I was going to be able to hold him off at all. Um, but on the short run, he definitely has the edge on me at anywhere we go. And on the long run, I believe I do have the edge.
Now, I asked this to Christopher Tate also. Before that last caution happening, me and Logan were doing the math, and we were trying to see if you guys could stretch it to the end. And then when we worked the math out, it really started looking realistic that y'all could. Was that the plan for you?
That was the plan for me. On my last green flag pit stop, I actually ran out of gas going down the back straightaway. That's why I came out 13 seconds behind Tate. That's the only way I could make that. I made it to the lap you had to pit. Tate was doing some hard fuel saving, so if he was fuel saving, he may have been able to make it. But I knew I was good on fuel because I made it to the lap I had to.
Now, I know you're not competing for a championship, but with these last 5 races at Chicagoland, Homestead, Richmond, Indianapolis, and Phoenix, are you pending if you race any of them? What's going to be your mindset?
Win. I'm racing all of them, and Darlington's my favorite track, but it's not my best. Chicagoland and Homestead and ISM are my best tracks, and I also love Indianapolis. So I've definitely got a few of my favorites, and I'm just playing out there to go out there and put some wins in the trophy case and get ready for next season.
Yeah, no, next season coming up, there's going to be a lot of changes coming around here. And then you running a full season, if that were to happen, that could definitely, you could start making a challenge up there with Christopher Tate if that were to be the case.
Yeah, I'm definitely running all of next season. I love this league. I love the concept of it. It's just a great fun.
All righty. Once again, that's your winner, Chris Tamagasa. Before I let you go this evening, though, for the first time this season, I get to ask you this. Do you have anybody you want to shout out?
Yes, first of all, I got to thank God. Without him, I wouldn't be able to be in the position to be able to do this. All glory be to him. Second off, got to thank my mom. She puts up with me racing like this, especially during this quarantine. I've spent way too much time on here. And then I got to thank my team of Low Line Racing, Phoenix Designs, RB Rig, Signature Esports, everybody who sticks behind me.
All righty.
And thank y'all for the wonderful broadcast as well. Y'all do an excellent job. I love racing races that y'all do.
Absolutely. It is our absolute pleasure. Once again, that was your winner, Chris Tamagasa. He is here to stay, folks. He is going to run the final 5 races and then get ready for season 2 coming up soon. Just an excellent run for you tonight. Best of luck to you the rest of the way.
As well to you.
Well, that will about wrap things up here tonight at Darlington. Logan, just let's unpack it. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't any surprises in terms of what we could expect. It was typical Darlington guys pounding the walls. Turn two was a little bit more of a problem corner than I was expecting, so that was a little unusual, but it's certainly not unheard of. I thought we would see turn 4 just be as big of an issue as turn 2 was, but turn 2 claimed a lot of victims today, and it left us with only 3 cars on the lead lap and only 1 car 1 lap down. Everybody else were 2 or more laps down. So it's a shame it claims so many victims early, but we did see a good race nonetheless there all the way up to the finish, and excited to see what this postseason, these final 5 races have in store for these guys.
Yeah, no, do want to touch on one thing. We just got word from the league admin, Chris Jones. Christopher Ritchie has withdrawn from the season. He was 13th in points. So that takes his spot away. That'll move up Josh Personnette up 1 spot. That'll move up Christopher Lawrence one spot. That'll move Chris Newman up one spot. So with that happening, Cody Jenkins, despite not showing up tonight, pending final results from the league admins, he could squeak out in 16th with Chris Edwards not having too much of a gap between him and Jenkins, and then with him finishing last tonight. So despite him not showing up, he's going to skate into this playoffs.
Yeah, it was a 20-point gap between Edwards and Jenkins. I was going to say that would be the only factor that would change things. So had Edwards have finished this race, that could be a different story. But it looks like Jenkins is going to hang on, and as you said, Newman is going to catch a break, and he's going to sneak in as well. So we've got our top 16 finalized.
So pending final results, I feel like we can say that unofficially this is your top 16 heading to Chicagoland. Not in any particular order, but Christopher Tate, Chris Bass, Christopher Takis, Chris Noblet, Chris Hubka, Chris Otto, Chris Jones, the league admin, Chris Roberge, Chris Clifford Corvo, Christopher Reese, Christopher Landy, Chris Jonathan Leach, and then pending final results, Chris Josh Personette, Chris Cody Jenkins, Christopher Lawrence, and Chris Newman. That will be the 16 that will be going for a title starting at Chicagoland, and then Homestead, then Richmond, then Indianapolis, and then the Speedway at Phoenix, also known as Phoenix International Raceway. Logan, it was a lot of fun to call with you tonight. Darlington always bringing out good finishes. Tonight, a little bit more spread out, but still just a good race all around.
Yeah, it is fun as always to be calling this with you, and looking forward again to Chicagoland next weekend.
Again, that will be at the same time, same great channel here on Flat Out Racing Network on our YouTube and Facebook page. First race of the Chase for the Chris Cup in the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series from Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. That one coming at you at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Folks, FRN action still going on as we speak. The Soda Guys Cup Series are out at Indianapolis tonight. They are in their 21st race of 35. Seth Cole and Sam Dyer, they're bringing that action to you right now as we speak. So once we wrap things up here, go ahead and head on over there for a quasi doubleheader tonight here at Flat Out Racing Network. Once again, your winner tonight from Darlington, Chris Tommy Gossett, looking to maybe add more to the trophy case heading in to this playoff system. For Logan Brakey, my name's Carlos Zimmerman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week from Chicagoland to kick off the Chase for the Chris Cup. Good night from Darlington, South Carolina.